Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa khilanihi amma ba'd. In our previous episode, we talked about hunger, how to control it, and also how to lower our gaze as we are observing these best days of Ramadan. And also, in this episode, we shall be talking about some things that we need not to do in order to make our Ramadan a blissful or acceptable Ramadan. Among the things that some Muslims do as they observe the month of Ramadan, excessive sleeping. Maybe from Fajr, he will sleep till Asr. So he will sleep even over Salat. Excessive sleeping. Some will sleep late at night, just before Fajr, at dawn. He might not even observe Fajr prayer, then he will sleep off the Fajr prayer. Then he will wake up at Zuhr or at Asr to observe the Fajr prayer. We need to avoid excessive sleeping. Once you're observing, you can sleep, but it shouldn't be, you are spending most of your hours, most of your Ramadan hours, instead of doing something beneficial to be sleeping. You can sleep some hours, get some relaxation, then carry on with your ibadah, instead of sleeping from morning till evening. Some go to the extent of even taking sleeping tablets so that he can sleep off the whole day, then wakes up at the evening at sunset. To him, he is trying to avoid the stress of Ramadan. You end up missing Salat, you end up missing a whole lot of blessings. You didn't read Quran, you didn't give Sadaqah, you didn't attend to any lesson, you didn't do anything to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because you engage yourself with sleeping, excessive sleeping. You can sleep, but it shouldn't be your entire day of Ramadan should be meant for sleeping. Subhanallah. Some brothers mostly do that, and they think it's okay for them. But it's not okay to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can sleep, but give yourself like some hours to get some rest, then engage the rest of the hours in worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. More especially our women, from morning, once the children goes to school, the husband too is off to work, and they find themselves in the house, they take the advantage to be sleeping, excessive sleeping, unnecessary sleeping. And to some men too, the same thing happens. It's like the month of Ramadan is meant for us to sleep. We need to guide ourselves. And when you continue doing that in the month of Ramadan, even after Ramadan, it will continue. So how can you be productive in your life? You can never be productive if you do sleep excessively. You need to make timetable for yourself. No, I will sleep from this time to this time, I will get rest from this time to this time, and from this time to that time too is for ibadah, for reading of Quran, for observing this and that, for masjid works, for feeding the needy. You need to make a timetable to reshape your life during this month of Ramadan. But if you make your life, a whole Ramadan, a whole month of Ramadan, you sleep off from Fajr to sunset, or from Fajr to Asr, from Fajr to Dhuhr, you waste a whole lot of hours. It wouldn't switch well for you as a brother or a sister. We can sleep, but it shouldn't be like Ramadan is for sleeping. That's why you can even hear from the Azan, when the Muazzin does the Azan, he says, As-salatu khayru min al-nawm. Salah. It's the best, it's preferred over sleeping. So sometimes when you are sleeping and you hear the Muazzin saying, As-salatu khayru min al-nawm, you start to psychologically train yourself, psych yourself, so that at least you can wake up from your bed and go and observe the prayers. Because you have been told the salah, the prayer, the congregation prayer is better off than the sleeping. The same thing applies during the day of Ramadan. Excessive sleeping, no. Observing the ibadah, observing the salat is the best for you, brother. So you don't need to waste our entire Ramadan life in sleeping. So you consider yourself, if you sleep at night, then you sleep also at day. For instance, at night you slept for 6-7 hours, then at the daytime to 6-7 hours, meaning almost 14 hours of your life you spend them in sleeping. So multiply it by the month and see how many hours have you spent in sleeping. So in Ramadan, depending upon the type of the work you do, you can also reschedule your activity, reschedule your working hours, so that at least you can get time for ibadah. I know some brothers, mostly in Ramadan, they work at night because the work they do is much difficult and it needs a lot of energy. So they change their working hours to the night. So even sahur, they take the sahur at the workplace. Then in the morning, they will get some sleep. They will wake up before Dhuhr, then do some ibadah, go to the masjid, do a whole lot of things, support the needy, a whole lot of things. Go to the masjid and listen to the lectures. Then in the evening, they go back to their work. You can also plan your Ramadan based upon your movement and activity and the kind of work you do. More especially those living in the diaspora, which you know the situation you are in. You know best than anybody. So you should also think of how to plan your life, how to maintain this Ramadan life, to make it iman, to make it a life of a change of life, to make it a stepping stone of being a good Muslim. Most of us, we claim to be Muslims, but we don't do what is Islam. So whoever wants to attack Islam will use you and me because of what we do is un-Islamic. And they think, or they accuse Islam for our doings, thinking that's Islam. And we don't represent Islam. Islam is something different and Muslims are something different. So you judge Islam according to the teachings of Islam, not according to what some Muslims are doing. But Islam or Muslims are the only people or the only religion who are being judged by the manners or the doings of their followers. So once we know we Muslims are always being judged with our doings and our manners or activities, we need to give a good representation of Islam in wherever we find ourselves, because we represent Islam. That's how a lot of people see us, more especially with the Arab communities. A lot of people, they think Arabs are Islam. So whatever Arabs are doing is Islam. So they accuse Muslims with what Arabs are doing. The same thing they will accuse Islam with what you also are doing. So we need to give a better representation to Islam wherever we find ourselves, at our workplace, in our communities, at our schools, at our at any level that we found ourselves. We need to give a good representation for Islam within our location. And also, those who use the month of Ramadan as the month of watching movies, they will be watching movies from morning till evening. This is not Ramadan. In Ramadan, we don't use the month of Ramadan in watching movies. We use these days, these hours for ibadah, for the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So instead of watching movies, why not watch some things that you learn Islam, you benefit, you even learn a trade, you even learn something beneficial to yourself in terms of your work, in terms of your children upbringing, in terms of even cooking your family affairs, more especially the women. Most of us get time during the month of Ramadan because some of them don't even work during the month of Ramadan. We should take this time, learn something that will be beneficial to the family, learn how to cook something different from what you've been cooking for the family, learn to cook something to impress the people who will be breaking on the food you prepare, learn to impress, to please your husband with this time that you've gotten, learn to impress, to please your children by cooking something delicious for them, by cooking something new in their life. And learn to also use this time to also shape and clean your environment, your house, your home, your bedrooms. You don't need to waste these days of Ramadan. Brothers and sisters, with this, we come to an end of this episode, and inshallah we shall meet on another episode. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.